DNA is the blueprint for life. And for that tiny cabal who see themselves as the new gods of Mount Olympus, control of the human genome is the ultimate prize. Humankind has selectively bred plants and animals for thousands of years. Sometimes the results were beneficial. Other times, they were not. In the 1920s, a powerful foundation started a eugenics program. Their goal was to create a superior race of humans. The foundation also began a mass sterilization campaign in order to reduce the numbers of those they considered inferior. The foundation's eugenics program was later adapted by the Nazis, but after the atrocities of World War II came to light, eugenics fell into disfavor, and the foundation's program was put on hiatus. Until today. The foundation that pioneered 20th century eugenics is the same foundation that funds much of today's biomedical and genetic research. That foundation also creates powerful oligarchs, global managers, agencies, and sister foundations. If the goal of eugenics is to create a superior human, then how do we define superiority in the age of neoliberalism? Through wealth. Money is the metric. Traits like courage, integrity, creativity, empathy, charity, and basic decency play no role in human assessment and are actually considered moral defects. The German philosopher Nietzsche wrote about the rise of a small group of aristocratic elites whom he called supermen. These supermen would brutally and murderously rule over the masses, who Nietzsche called the herd. Today, we live under financialized Nietzscheism. This is the new neoliberal Superman. This is the paragon of humanity. This is the globalized man. To the global elites, hardworking Americans are factory farm animals put on this earth to be used and abused. Due to inbreeding and intermarriage, many of today's super rich families are comprised of mental defectives, miscreants, and depraved psychopaths who are propped up by legions of well-paid economists, scientists, and security services. Owning the militaries, police, court systems, academics, intelligence services, and politicians kills competition and creates a rigged system that keeps these elite families in power, generation after generation. But for those in charge, that's not enough. To ensure permanent rule for themselves and their descendants, they need a fail-proof safeguard against revolution. And science has provided the solution. Through transhumanistic technology, they plan to become literal supermen. By combining human biology with technology, they will be stronger, smarter, and live longer. But what about the rest of us? If you want to weaken and eventually destroy your opponents and your opponents' children, attack their DNA. Create a human GMO, a genetically modified organism whose DNA is intentionally damaged. A person who is biologically engineered to be defective. How can the people overthrow tyranny after they've been genetically transformed into stupid, weak, sickly, infertile masses of jelly? A slave race of human GMOs. But how do you take control of the DNA of 8 billion humans? How would you introduce the required nanotechnology into all those bodies? How would you convince them not only to destroy their DNA, but the DNA of their children and their children's children? What kind of trickery, threats, and incentives would be needed to accomplish this? What kinds of propaganda would you need to destroy their critical thinking skills? How would you delete facts and replace them with fabrications? The male lion kills the offspring of his competitors to ensure dominance of his genetic lineage. A mass sterilization program would do the same thing for the ruling elites. An infertile population can't reproduce, and even if some children manage to be born, they will likely be weak and sickly. By the time the human GMOs discover that they are victims of a depopulation program, it will be too late. Human GMOs could be further weakened through contaminated water, dirty air, toxic food, and malnutrition. While the elites may need to keep the human GMOs around for a while to perform drudge work, at some point, artificial intelligence, automation, and robotics will make the human GMOs redundant. What happens then? What if they created a human GMO who is so mentally, spiritually, and physically degraded that the unfortunate creature would happily march into the death chamber and with a dull, mindless smile, press their own self-destruction button? What the global elites fear most is a mass awakening, a consciousness revolution, the collective realization that this tiny cabal of self-anointed gods are really defective parasites who keep humanity in a state of spiritual darkness and are the primary barrier to our transition into a peaceful Star Trek Kardashev Type 2 civilization. In Hinduism, a sudden spiritual awakening is called Shaktipat. In Zen Buddhism, it is referred to as Satori. In Christianity, it is known as receiving the Holy Spirit. And in the secular world, it is termed getting unfucked. Although in universal lexicon, that too is a spiritual experience. To quote Fight Club's Tyler Durden, "Our great war is a spiritual war." A Jewish Hebrew Israelite spiritualist, John the Divine, wrote the book of Revelations. In this text, he describes a time when no man might buy or sell, save he who had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. This is not a movie. This is really happening. Recognize the beast in all its manifestations and know its mark.